Hey everyone, tonight I'm going to be making a braised short rib for dinner, and so I'm going to take you along with me as we start making our dinner. If you hear any kids in the background, it's because they're home from school. We'll see how quiet they are, so let's go. Okay, so first things first, I'm going to set the oven to 350 degrees, and I'm going to get that preheating. I have 2 packages of braised short rib that I'm going to be cooking today, so that should be about 2 pounds worth of meat. Yeah, so I'm going to show you how I do it. Okay, so in my Dutch oven, I think it's like a 7-quart Dutch oven, I have probably about 2 tablespoons of lard that's actually rendered pig fat. I went through all of the beef tallow that I had rendered, so I'm going to need to be making another video and doing that here soon. And then I have these baby cut carrots that are about to go bad. So I'm going to use my baby cut carrots, and this is half of an onion that's diced. Once the lard heats up, I'm going to get this stuff sauteing in the oil. Okay, so I've got the onions and the carrots in. I just went ahead and got the beef short ribs out. I know there's still a little bit of fat on there, but I'm not really worried about it. Some people save the fat and will use that when they make the tallow. I'm just putting salt and pepper on this now. And then I'm also gonna put about 1/4 of a cup of flour on these to just kind of help make it crispy once it goes in the Dutch oven. Let me get this flipped over. Okay, so the salt and pepper has been added onto the short rib, and I also added salt and pepper in for the onions and carrots. So now I'm just going to shake some of the einkorn flour. This is freshly milled einkorn flour, and I'm just going to sprinkle it on here, rub it in, and then I'm going to flip it over, do the same thing. But I'm also going to do that to like all of the sides, if that makes sense. Because when you add this into the Dutch oven, you're going to want to make sure it can get crispy on all sides. So that's why I'm doing that. And so I'm like doing this like looking through my phone too. So if it kind of gets messy, that's why. Okay, so this is actually the side that has the bone on it, so it's probably not going to crisp up too much. Actually, let me figure out a better way to do this. I'm just going to like sprinkle it all over, get some on the plate. And then just use that to like dip the sides in. Yeah. Okay, so that one's good. Give it a little bit more. Yes, Adam?
I love you.
I love you, buddy. I've got 2 helpers here watching me start making dinner. Okay, so we're gonna dip all sides in the flour. Yeah.
I like your homemade tortillas.
You like my homemade tortillas? There you have it. I'll have to post a video of how we made einkorn tortillas, I think earlier in the week. We still have some in the fridge, but as you can tell, my boys love to be a part of the cooking. So I'm going to get my hands washed, and then I'm going to give that a stir, and just keep that cooking while this is kind of sitting. Okay, so I'm just going to give this another stir. I might add some water too to keep it from burning too much. With the oil, it does tend to heat up pretty quickly. Okay, so I'm going to just add in some water. Yep. And that's just going to cook off, but it's just going to help soften the veggies. Okay, so this is not done cooking, but let me turn the fan off. This isn't done cooking, but I'm going to add this back in when I put everything in the oven. So now I'm going to add in about another 2 tablespoons of oil and get the beef short ribs going in the Dutch oven and just getting it browned on all sides. Okay, so I just put more oil in, and while that's melting, I'm going to add these in. I'm going to leave the bone side up first and just get the side that has more of the meat cooking first. And there's the bone, so we're gonna smush that in there, and then again we're gonna get this cooked on all sides. Let me just try and get this to fit better. There we go. Okay, so I just switched over the short ribs, so now the bone side is cooking. The pan is a little hot, so I turned the temperature down, but it's still doing a nice job braising. So over here, I went ahead and got out the rest of the ingredients that I'm going to need. So I need 1 cup of red wine, Okay, so over here I have 1 cup of red wine. I'm going to pour that in a couple minutes. You need 2.5 cups of broth. This is probably closer to 4, so I'm not going to use all of this. This is actually chicken broth. The recipe does call for beef broth, but that's okay. And then I have this can of tomato paste. You need about 2 tablespoons of the tomato paste. And the recipe calls for fresh herbs. I don't have that. It's winter time, so I have rosemary leaves and some ground thyme to add into this. And then once that's all mixed in, I'm going to put it in the oven and let that cook for about 2 to 3 hours. Okay, so now, sorry, it's a little loud. I'm going to pour the wine in and get that going. And then I'm going to pour in the beef broth. Okay, so the wine is in. Here goes the chicken broth. And then that's about 2 cups. I need about another, still a 1/2 cup of it. Pour that in there. Okay, so I'm just gonna wait for the broth and the wine to start boiling. And then once that happens, I'm going to add in some more salt and pepper and some of the tomato paste. We'll do, like I said, we're gonna do 2 tablespoons of tomato paste. As you've kind of realized, I don't like specifically measure out my ingredients. I just kind of like do it by eye. But I am trying to like let you guys know what the recipe would call for. So that way, if you are like really strict on your food measurements, you know what to put in. I'm gonna crank up the heat a little bit on this to get that. So once that starts, oh wait, let me add the salt and pepper in now. Where did the salt go? Here it is. Again, just a handful. And then the pepper I have is actually homemade pepper, so I just put it through our spice grinder. And I just have whole peppercorns. It's just hard to do one-handed. Okay, so that's about, just fell, but that's about gonna be my equivalent of 2 tablespoons of tomato paste. Oops. Okay, so I'm gonna stir in the tomato paste and then add in the carrots and the veggies, and then we're gonna put it in the oven. I guess I have to put in the seasonings too. Let me do that now. So we're gonna do some rosemary leaves. So the recipe called, I think, for like 2 fresh sprigs of rosemary. So I don't have that. So I'm just gonna do maybe about like a teaspoon, 2 teaspoons. And then I have ground thyme. Again, the recipe called for fresh thyme, which I don't have. So we're just doing the ground thyme. I'm not gonna do as much of the ground thyme because it is like more flavorful. Yes, Adam? It's almost going to go in the oven, so if you want to just leave the chair there, we're almost done here. Okay, so just going to get that mixed in, and then I'm going to pour the carrots and the onions back in. So let this cook while it's in the oven. I might need to add in a little bit more broth now that the veggies have been added in, so let me get that back out of the fridge. So this is what's left, probably like another 1/2 cup, so I'm just going to pour that in. And I'm not worried about it being too liquidy because as it cooks in the oven, a lot of the liquid is going to cook off. I just want to make sure that I have enough so it's not going to burn because I do have like more food in here than what the recipe calls for. So going to give that a good stir. I'm going to bring this to boiling. The oven is already preheated to 350, so that shouldn't be an issue. So once this is boiling, I'm going to add it to the oven. Okay, so now that that's got a boil to it, I'm gonna add the lid onto it, and then I'm going to put it into the oven for about 2 to 3 hours. I'm also gonna make mashed potatoes with this, but I'll make the mashed potatoes later on because right now it's about 3 o'clock, so we won't be eating this for another couple hours. Okay, so I just took this out of the oven. You can see a lot of it cooked down, but you can see the carrots and everything are in there. We've got the mashed potatoes going right now. That'll take probably like 10 minutes once it comes to pressure. But basically we're just gonna shred the meat off of the bones. I'll save the bones so I can make some beef broth later in the week. But this will be probably just one meal for us. If we have a little bit left over, we'll just shred the meat and do something with it. But I'm planning on making a chili later this week, so I don't think we'll need to have too many leftovers. Okay, so this is the bones and the fat that I separated from the meat. So this is probably just gonna last us for dinner tonight, and we'll have the mashed potatoes with it. And then we have the carrots, the onion, and that kind of like sauce in there. And then I'm going to, yeah, these are the bones. So I'm gonna end up making these, I'll save these, I'll freeze it, and then I'm going to make some bone broth with this later in the week. And I just have the fat in there. It'll just be kind of like added flavor and help pull some like nutrients out for the broth. But yeah, so I'll end up showing you what this all looks like once the mashed potatoes are done. Okay, so the potatoes are done. I do have probably like maybe 1/4 of a cup to 1/2 a cup of the water the potatoes cooked in still at the bottom. I don't know if you can tell at the side, but now I'm going to add salt, some Parmesan cheese, some butter, a little bit of milk, and mash that up. The reason why I'm not adding pepper is because my boys don't like pepper, like they don't like it when they can see it. But yeah, so I'll show you what it looks like when it's all said and done. Okay, so this is what the kids' plate look like. We're gonna add some frozen fruit on it, but this is a loaf of sourdough bread that one of our friends brought us. We have the, the short ribs, and then some mashed potatoes, and like I said, we're gonna add some fruit. But this is what we do for the kids. I like to give them a little bit, and then they can just ask for more so we don't have a lot of food waste at the end. I know the kids aren't going to eat any of this. They won't want the sauce with the carrots and onions in it, so I didn't even bother to give it to them. But if in the off chance they want it, then we'll let them have some. Okay, and this is what my bowl looks like. I've got some of the sauce. You can't see the mashed potatoes, and we've got the rest of the meat on top. That we definitely do not have any leftovers. Evan, our youngest, is completely demolishing this, so bon appetit. So that is it for today's video. If you like this video, let me know in the comments below. If you like seeing more of this type of stuff, let me know. I'm trying to get more like dinner recipes out because that is like the main thing that it seems to be like we're cooking every night. Obviously we're making breakfast and lunch too, but it's more of like a quick thing. I'm not like thinking of filming it. So if you have any ideas for like recipes you want to see, let me know, and I'm gonna try my best to show you guys the the chili that I'm gonna make later in the week. All right, so have a good night. We'll see you later. Bye.